Thousands of people from all over the world in the Eastern Cape shores to experience a range of artists' expressions from crafts to dance, theatre and music. An economic analysis has shown that the impact of the 2016 National Arts Festival on Grahamstown's economy was 94 million rand, making it a significant driver of job creation and the stimulation of the economy in the areas such as tourism, hospitality, retail. Well, our reporter Lerato Thipa is very lucky to be in Grahamstown for this festival for its duration. Let's cross to her now and get a sense of this whole affair. You've got to do this festival at least once in your lifetime, don't you, Lerato?
No, definitely you have to do it, Peter. Well, 11 days of amazing has officially begun in Grahamstown, and over the next few days, over 700 artists showcasing theatre, dance, music, crafts, poetry will be showcasing their talents here in the Eastern Cape, in the small city of Grahamstown. But joining me this morning is a man who knows more about the festival like the palm of his hand. His name is Tony Lancaster, and he's the CEO of the National Arts Festival, and we're here to talk to him this morning. Now, Tony, this year we're celebrating 43 years of the National Arts Festival. What can people expect this year as festival?
I think one of the beauties of this festival is that we never know what to expect, and it always surprises us. After 43 years, we can't predict what's going to happen. I think the flavour of the festival each year, and particularly this year, comes from the work that our artists bring to Grahamstown. So we've got about 700 productions, 2,500 performances over 11 days, and the magic and the theme and the feel of the festival will emerge from the work that our artists do, and that's what makes this thing so special. It's unpredictable, it's unwieldy, but it's always exciting and adventurous.
Okay, you are now celebrating 10 years of being part of the Arts Festival. What do you think the contribution has been to just the normal citizen here in Grahamstown for the past 10 years?
I'm not sure celebrating 10 years is. Look, I think this is a very singular special event, and it's so important to the city of Grahamstown. Apart from the economic benefits, I think what it does for if there's such a thing as the self-esteem of a city, I think it does a lot for the people who live here, just in the way they feel about the city and the way that they feel about living in the city. It creates a multitude of economic opportunities, obviously, for people who live here. There's job creation, but it infuses life in the city in a way that very few other events do. There's a higher propensity towards the creative industries in this town. There are more people who work in the creative industries per capita, I reckon, in Grahamstown than in most other cities. So it really does have this ripple effect for the other 354 days a year. And it's so important to the city to keep that momentum going outside of the festival period. Obviously, we love the fact that the spotlight's on Grahamstown for these 11 days, but there's so much more to the city besides just these 2 weeks.
Okay, earlier on you were speaking, I asked you, what do you think makes this festival one of the best? And you're like, Lerato, the best. So what do you think makes this festival one of the best festivals in the country?
I think what it is, Lerato, it's the singular experience that it creates. We create this bubble of amazing in Grahamstown. It's on most South Africans' bucket list. People want to come and experience it because, yes, of course, it's got a lot to do with what happens in our theatres and on our stages. That's the most important reason for having it here. But the important thing is this experience that it creates, that you can step into this bubble, forget what's happening in the rest of the world just for a couple of days while you're here, and everything and everyone that you're about in that period that you're here is about the festival. You can't replicate that anywhere else in the world. I've been to some of the great festivals in the world, and they're fantastic festivals, but you don't have that completely immersive experience where every waking moment and sleeping moment is to do with the festival, and all the people that you meet are about the festival. That's so special, and you can't replicate that, and no one else can come close to it. And I think that's one of the most important parts of the whole Grahamstown experience.
And then, Tony, if you were to just give a critical view of the festival, where do you think certain areas where the festival can still develop?
It's a giant, unwieldy machine very often, and I think a lot of the ways that we can improve, and we're constantly looking for ways to improve, is in just the way that we tweak and manage this giant machine, and the way that we point it in the right direction. It's like a train that leaves today and gets somewhere else in 11 days' time, and the journey is never quite certain. So our team is in place, and they're a really good team to try and anticipate all the possible problems that might emerge. But I think the places that we can improve are a lot of the areas that the public would never see. There are systems, there are processes, and they're the things behind the scenes that just make the whole experience smoother and more enjoyable for everyone. So that's a lot of our engineering time goes into getting those things right. But we're constantly learning. We get feedback all the time from the artists, from the Grahamstown community, from the visitors to the festival, from the media, and we take all of that on board. We take a lot of it quite personally as well, but we listen. We spend a lot of time listening to what people say, and we absorb that, and we use that to try and influence the way that we plan for the future.
And then lastly, Tony, people are not aware that you also are helping the community. There's a school that you're currently working with as well. Can you tell us more about the project? What is important for you to also embark remark on that?
It's part of what I mentioned earlier, the 354 days outside of festival time. It's so important for the festival as an organisation to be part of the cultural life of the city. So we have a whole range of projects, one of which, the one that you mentioned, is with Nsika Secondary School here in Grahamstown, where we fund the teaching post for a visual arts teacher in that school, which allows learners in grades 10, 11 and 12 to actually study visual arts as a subject, where previously they didn't have that opportunity. Just giving them that access to the arts, who knows what's going to emerge in 10, 15, 20 years' time. The next great South African artist might come from that school, and hopefully we would have played a role in that. But we run all sorts of projects. We have a choral music festival, we've got an outdoor cinema that we run. We try and keep all these things going to get some momentum behind the arts in Grahamstown, to try and stimulate the creative economy of the city all year round.
Well, that was Tony Lancaster, the CEO of the National Arts Festival, speaking about some of the strengths of the festival, saying that the reason why it's one of the top festivals in the country is about the individual contribution it's having to every citizen who comes to Grahamstown during this 11 days. So, Tony, thank you so much for that, and also look forward to speaking to Ashraf, the new executive producer of the National Arts Festival, telling us more about the theme and why these 11 days are going to be absolutely amazing. It's back to you in studio.